Hey there, HorseCenter fans. Matt and I are back with another exciting edition of the show. Matt, we're almost to the Breeders' Cup. What are we talking about today?
It's Breeders' Cup talk, and Brian, we're going to do a whole show about the Classic because I think, except for one horse, and that's a big decision, the field is pretty set for the 10 Furlong Classic.
Yeah, and this is looking like a very deep and contentious field. We like the Classic. We're going to talk about every horse that's possible for the Breeders' Cup Classic right here on HorseCenter. Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I am Brian Zipsy, and as always, I have the excellent pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Schiffman. How are you today, Matt?
I am good, and the pleasure is mine, Brian, to be here with you talking about the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Yeah, $6 million a mile and a quarter, Matt. I remember last time they ran at Keeneland, we lost Beholder late. But last time we ran at Keeneland, it really did look like American Pharoah's race to win. This year, the Breeders' Cup Classic at Keeneland, 5 years later, I think there are a lot of potential winners. We may not have an American Pharoah per se, but we have a lot of good horses. Whether the filly runs or not, Matt, we got a lot of good horses. So let's run down this field and let's talk about every horse in depth. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. We're going to do it a little bit different this week. We're going to go from the bottom up, Matt. And in this 11-horse field of possibles, probables, most of them are probables. We're going to start certainly with Title Ready, Matt. We have him at 50-1. He certainly could be higher than that. This is a horse who has never even won a stakes race. And they're jumping into the deep end of the pool.
They certainly are. It's Dallas Stewart, the king of the long shots in big races. But you're right, Brian. It's pretty hard to find any positive to say about this horse in this kind of field. I mean, he's a nice horse. He's won over $500,000 in his career. But Brian, no stakes wins. The only positive thing that I can say is he's one of the few horses in this field that's run a race at Keeneland.
Yeah, at least recently. He's 1 for 3 this year. Of course, his win, as you can tell, came in an allowance race. He's only 4 of 22 lifetime, the son of More Than Ready. And as the son of More Than Ready, I got to wonder why he doesn't run on turf more. But anyway, yeah, you mentioned Dallas Stewart has had some success with long shots. He's also had some success at the Breeders' Cup. I'm with you, though. I just can't say a lot of good things about Title Ready in this field. His last race was a decent rallying third in the Fayette, but a different level of horse than he'll find a week from Saturday in the Breeders' Cup Classic. All right, Matt, working from the bottom, the next horse we have on our list is Higher Power. Higher Power, I have it 30-1. Again, I think he could be higher than that. John Sadler has not had a lot of success in the Breeders' Cup, but he did finally get a Breeders' Cup Classic a few years ago. And this horse has won Grade 1 race at 10 furlongs.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier to find something nice to say about Higher Power, although not recently. He hasn't found the winner's circle this year. He hasn't found the winner's circle since he won the Pacific Classic in 2019 at Del Mar. That's 10 furlongs, Brian, that you're talking about. Maybe that Higher Power would have a chance in the Classic, but not the current Higher Power in my eyes.
Right. He's 0 for 4 this year. Now, this is a horse, we kind of threw the hammer down on Title Ready's chances when we said he's never won a stakes race. Higher Power literally has one stakes win. Of course, that did come in a very good win last year, a mile and a quarter in the Pacific Classic. I also will say this, Matt, we're talking about a horse who was able to be third in last year's Breeders' Cup Classic. However, weaker field, he was a distant third, and that was out in Southern California where he's found his success. This one is coming to Kentucky. Another horse I just can't recommend in here. Maybe we find a little bit more positives to say as we work our way up this list, Matt. The next horse on the list, I have a 20-1. His name is Tacitus, and this is a horse we've talked about quite a bit over the last 2 years. Now, he's a 3-time graded stakes winner, Matt.
Yeah, certainly has gotten talked a great deal by a lot of people. His resume looks really nice 14 career races, 4 wins, almost $3 million in earnings. And a lot of that comes from some nice finishes in some big races, running second and third. But he has yet to win a Grade 1 race.
Right, and he is a horse who's only won 1 out of 5 starts this year, and people are certainly down on them, and maybe they have every right to be down on him after running second as the favorite at Saratoga in the Woodward, and then running third as the favorite in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. It was his second straight third in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. A few positives I will say about Tacitus. I don't think any horse in this field has more 10 furlong experience. Certainly 10 furlongs is up his alley. And if you look at the last 2 races, you might be disappointed that he didn't beat horses like Global Campaign or Happy Saver, but he was on the lead in those races, or he was chasing the lead in those races. And I don't think that's really his game. I would much rather see Tacitus rally. In this race, he's going to get that opportunity. I don't know if that means he's going to rally up for 3rd or 4th, or maybe he's going to rally for 6th. But maybe that change in style in the races that I really see happening in this race will help him just a little bit in the Breeders' Cup Classic. But he's deserved it, finally. First time ever, I think he will be a real long shot in this race. The horse that beat him in the Woodward, Matt, is next on our list, or next on the list here that I have at 15-1. His name is Global Campaign, Matt, and I see 2 things to like here. You know, this is one of the lesser-known horses on our list because we're talking, again, about a lot of good horses. There's 2 things I like. I like the breeding. Curlin out of an AP Indy mare, that really tells me 10 furlongs will be up his alley. And the other thing I like is he's had 9 career starts and he's won 6 times.
Yeah, and that's absolutely what I was going to point out, Brian, that his career record, 9 starts, 6 wins, really gives you a snapshot of what's been going on with Global Campaign. It really points out that this is a talented horse and has always been a talented horse, but as a 4-year-old has only been able to get to the track 9 times. Stanley Huff, veteran trainer, has been taking care of Global Campaign, and he's been plagued by foot problems throughout his career, which has kept him out of some big races. It's kept him from putting together a bunch of races, and when he has gotten to the track and his feet have been good, as you can see, he's run well and recorded some victories. A couple times didn't run well due to those feet, but he was feeling good in the Woodward and took that race basically on the lead over Tacitus.
Yeah, the Woodward is a positive for a few reasons. It was his first try at 10 furlongs, and it probably was his most classy attempt. He stepped up in class a little bit, and he proved that he's a nice horse. That was a very nice performance. On the negative side, maybe a couple things on the negative side. His only trip to Kentucky, to the Midwest, if you want to call Kentucky the Midwest, was disappointing when he ran in the Blame earlier this year. Maybe there are excuses, reasonable excuses, but he did not run well, and this is certainly a bit better field than the Blame. The other one is in the Woodward, in his really big win. He did win the Peter Pan last year, but the Woodward is his biggest win. And the Woodward is the race where you say, hey, maybe this horse does have a shot. He kind of got a pretty easy lead, and Tacitus was the horse chasing. And like I said, say what you will about Tacitus, but he's not really a horse who wants to be on the lead. So, you know, the Woodward has to be taken slightly with a grain of salt, more so in here because I think, you know, the competition gets tougher, but there's also a lot of quality horses that I want to be on or near the lead that we're going to unveil here. So that might make life a whole lot tougher for Global Campaign, but certainly on an upward trend, Matt, and a horse I can't completely discount.
Yeah, I agree, Brian.
As I can't discount the next horse, and the next horse is going to be a long shot, and it's almost hard to believe that by my standards is going to be a long shot in any race. But I think he's going to be a pretty ignored horse in this Breeders' Cup Classic, Matt, and that's why I have him at 15-1. And you look at his record, And you got to say, he's run 6 races this year. He's won 4. He's been second in the other 2. He's coming off 3 graded stakes wins and 2 second places in big races. It's hard to knock this horse too much.
Yeah, I agree with you, Brian. I mean, what a career this Brett Calhoun runner has put together. 12 starts, 6 wins, 4 seconds, 1/3. That's only 1 time out of the money. $1.7 million won. Hey, and he's been knocking heads in the older male division against tough competition earlier in the year, whether it was against Tom's Détat or others. Most recently winning the Ali Sheba. I have to say, by my standards, if you want to look for knocks, doesn't have a Grade 1 win yet, but he's been training gangbusters in preparation for the Classic. His most recent work was fast. And as he was timed for the rest of his workout out to 6 furlongs or more, he was moving. So Brett Calhoun is not messing around heading into the Classic with By My Standards.
Yeah, By My Standards is a really good horse. He's proven that. I have no qualms about calling him a Grade 1 winner, whether all 4 of his stakes wins to date are Grade 2s or not. I mean, he's beaten good horses along the line. Louisiana Derby last year, New Orleans Classic, Oakland Handicap, Ali Sheba this year. He is a Grade 1 horse, and he proved that by running second. Negatives. We got to talk negatives. And I'll say one more positive first. If he wins this race, he should be Horse of the Year. People aren't talking about for Horse of the Year, but his resume is so good this year that if he wins the Classic, I have no qualm about calling him the Horse of the Year. That's how good he's been. Negatives, though. He wasn't really close to beating Improbable or Tom's Détat in the Whitney or the Stephen Foster. And his sire was a 2-time Breeders' Cup winner, but his sire did it at a flat mile, the dirt mile, Golden Sense, of course, I'm talking about. I've never been convinced that By My Standards is wanting 10 furlongs. His only bad race in his career, again, we probably have some good excuses, but his only bad race in his career was the Kentucky Derby last year, and that was his only race, the only time he ever tried 10 furlongs. So that is a concern. However, I think he's gotten so good that I am a little less worried about that distance than I would have been maybe, say, last year. Gabriel Saez, Gabe Saez has been on him when he wins, and for different reasons, he wasn't able to ride him in his 2 losses this year. So the jockey factor, Saez on him, he wins. Every time Saez is on him, he wins. By My Standards, an awfully good long shot in the Breeders' Cup Class. Okay, the next horse on our list, Matt, I have her at 8-1. And I think that's about right if she runs, but we really don't know for sure if she runs. I think it's very questionable right now which race she goes. I think it's almost 50-50 because I think Kenny McPeek, the trainer, does want to run, and I think Peter Callahan, the owner, is looking at it a little bit more conservatively. But she's already won the Preakness. The Breeders' Cup Classic is a $6 million race versus the Breeders' Cup Distaff is a $2 million race. Breeders' Cup Distaff, she'd have to worry about Monomoy Girl anyway. I almost feel like why not take a shot in her?
Yeah, and adding to that, I don't know if debate is the right word, but adding to that decision that has to be made, a Swiss Skydiver, I mean, has got the 3-year-old filly division championship wrapped up already. Doesn't matter what happens. She could go in the Classic and finish last. It doesn't matter. With the Preakness win and everything that she's done throughout the year, that's a done deal. So, like you said, take a shot against the boys in here. I mean, it's a formidable field, without a question. Way the toughest field that she would ever face. So it's a bunch of horses to contend with in the Classic or in the Distaff where you've got the monster of Monomoy Girl.
Yeah, tough decision. 2 million, 6 million, bigger race in the Classic, but a Breeders' Cup Distaff win on the resume would be another big feather in her cap, similar to the Preakness, maybe not quite as big as the Preakness, but big. But if she were to win the Breeders' Cup Classic, wow, she would go down as as one of the 3-year-old fillies we're talking about decades from now, because she's put together a marvelous career. If she does run in the Classic, I am not going to pick her. And frankly, I didn't pick her in the Kentucky Oaks, and I didn't pick her in the Preakness. She probably was best in the Kentucky Oaks. She won the Preakness. I'm a big fan, but she keeps surprising me. And, she could do it again. She's another one of those horses, though, that I think will be on or near the lead. Could be pretty congested early in this Classic. And another reason is the horse she nosed out in the Preakness, Authentic. If you ask me one horse to be on the early lead in the Breeders' Cup Classic, Matt, I would probably say the Kentucky Derby winner, Authentic.
Yeah, and I can't disagree with you in there, Brian. It'll be interesting to see. I think that's going to be one of the fun stories to follow this week, heading to the Breeders' Cup, where McPeak and the Connections decide to run Swiss Skydiver.
Yeah. And as far as Authentic, I have him at 6-1 on the morning line. The son of Into Mischief has been marvelous this year. He's a winner of 4 of 6 this year with a very narrow loss in the Preakness and a good second in the Santa Anita Derby. 5 of 7 lifetime, 4-time graded stakes winner. Very much in the race for 3-year-old male champion, along with Tis the Law. I think Authentic is on the lead early, and it'll be up to all those horses who want to stalk, whether it be Swiss Skydiver or By My Standards or Maxim Security, or even maybe some of the other favorites that want to stay close. It'll be their job to make sure Authentic doesn't get out to a pretty easy lead like he did in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, Authentic, one of the 2 3-year-olds, depending on what Swiss Skydiver does, one of 2 male 3-year-olds in this field that we know are going to be there. Bob Baffert, trainee, and let's talk a little history, folks. 13 3-year-olds have won the Breeders' Cup Classic in the past. That's a pretty good number, and obviously there's been far fewer 3-year-olds in the race than older horses. The last 3-year-old to win the Breeders' Cup Classic was trained by Bob Baffert, and Bob Baffert has won the Classic 3 times, Brian, all 3 times with 3-year-olds. Baffert had a streak of 3 years in a row with those Classic wins, with Arrogate, with American Pharaoh, and with Bayern. So Baffert knows how to win with 3-year-olds. That being said, Authentic has, had a rigorous campaign. It was the Kentucky Derby on the first Saturday in May, followed by the Preakness on the first Saturday of October, and now here we are on the first Saturday in November in the Breeders' Cup Classic. This is without question the toughest field that this horse has ever faced.
Yeah, absolutely. I would go as far to say this is the toughest field that any one of these horses has ever faced. Maybe there are levels there and can be levels of distinction a little bit, but it's the toughest race that any horse in the race will have ever faced. Authentic, I didn't pick him in the Derby. I was wrong, and I'm not going to pick him again here. I just feel like there's too many good horses that want to be close to this pace that will test Authentic. A little bit unlike the Kentucky Derby, where he really only had to worry about the one horse testing him, and he beat Tis the Law. And I respect Authentic because Authentic has run nothing but good races. The Derby was really good, and the Preakness was really good. But one of those horses that wanted to be close to the lead got him in the Preakness, and this time, I think there are more good horses like that. I think it's going to be hard for the 3-year-old to hold him off. Having said that, you got to respect this horse on his record and his speed. He wasn't the last Baffert 3-year-old to win the Classic, but last time we were at Keeneland, American Pharaoh, went to the lead, and there was no catching him. Authentic could do that in here. Having said that, he's definitely not going to be my top pick in the Classic. One horse who could be my top pick is the other horse I have at 6-1 on the morning line. That's Tom's Day Tot. And Tom's Day Tot, I've liked for a long time. And sometimes you get stuck on horses, liking them for a long time, and you just keep hoping that they're going to do it. But Tom's Day Tie, I look at his races this year, Matt. There's only been 3 of them, and Al Stahl will do that. He'll rest his horses up a little bit. He'll space his races out, and he knows what race he's been pointing for all year, and it's this Breeders' Cup Classic at a track he's already won at. So, we have a 3-month break between that Whitney and the Breeders' Cup Classic, but I really don't feel like that's going to be a negative for Tom Stay Todd. He's a veteran, and he's run well fresh before. I look at his 3 races this year, and I think he's as good as any horse in America, because I believe the Whitney just was a really, really awful setup, the way he broke and the way the pace happened to be run in that Whitney.
Yeah, that's for sure, Brian. In the Whitney, he uncharacteristically got out of the gate really slowly, got obviously at a big disadvantage right from the start. And as you described, the pace was fairly slow, and Tom's Day Todd did quite well to rally up and get third in that Whitney. And at that point, Al Stahl said, "Okay, we're going to go and do what we've done before with this 7-year-old, which was give him some time." And as you said, Brian, that's not a negative in this case, because he's run some really big races off the layoff, and on his best is certainly a contender in here. But like we said, this is the toughest field that any of these horses has ever faced. And if we're looking at notables that Tom's Day Todd has beaten this year, he beat by my standards in the Stephen Foster, and he beat Improbable in the Oakland Mile. But that was before Improbable got on a roll in there. So Tom's Day Todd certainly capable in there, and I'm not sure what to think in there. And I have tons of respect, and I expect him to run really well, but he's not going to be my top pick.
Yeah, and as I said, he might be my top pick. I've got a few in here that I like a lot. I'll tell you what, in the Oakland Mile, I think Improbable ran a race that makes me think he was already starting his role then. The only reason he didn't have that as part of his role is Tom's Day Todd ran a huge race. You might say, well, that was a mile. This is a mile and a quarter, but I'm really not worried about 10 furlongs. So you see how Tom's Day Todd finishes his races. He's a son of Smart Strike out of a Giants Causeway mare. He's a 7-year-old veteran. He's a mature horse. I'm not worried about 10 furlongs for Tom's Day Todd. So, yeah, I think he's got a big shot as the 4th or 5th choice. That's kind of attractive. Another horse you're going to get some decent odds at, and we didn't know that a little while ago, but Maximum Security suddenly, he's not going to be the favorite. I don't think he'll be the 2nd choice. I have him listed as the 5-1 3rd choice. His last race was not great, but there is an awful lot to like with last year's 3-year-old champion.
There certainly is, Brian. He's got the most wins in the field with 10 wins. Wins have come all over the world. He's won the most money in the field. And, Baffert saying that that 2nd place finish in the Awesome Again, he didn't have Maximum Security at 100% in that race. And it kind of looked that way coming down the stretch. He didn't quite seem to have the usual punch that has been his trademark. It looks like from the training that Baffert is putting into Maximum Security that he's going to be at the top of his game in the Classic, and that makes him dangerous.
Yeah, that certainly makes him dangerous. He is the richest horse in the field, obviously, after that win in the Saudi Cup. I will say Tom's Day Todd, I believe, has 11 wins to Maximum Security's 10, although Maximum Security would have 11 if he wasn't taken down in the Kentucky Derby last year. Maximum Security has proven he likes 10 furlongs. He did that in the Kentucky Derby, and he just seems to be a fighter. The Awesome Again wasn't good, but on the other hand, I didn't love the ride. They kind of took him off the pace just a little bit, and then he was kind of battling horses for 2nd there, and I thought it was a game performance to get 2nd after it looked like another horse might go by him there in the stretch of the Awesome Again. I too think he will be better in the Classic than he was in the Awesome Again. It sure seems like that wasn't the best Maximum Security, and Baffert will make sure he is more ready for this Breeders' Cup Classic. So a horse with a big shot, another one of those horses who wants to be on or near the lead. hard to discount maximum security. And now you got him as the likely third choice or so. That's kind of attractive. Another horse who will not be the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Classic, who, what has Tiz the Law done wrong? I got him at the 9-2 second choice. Wide open race. 9-2 sounds pretty good on a horse, Matt, who's won 4 out of 5 this year. Second last time in the Kentucky Derby. That's why he's not the favorite for this. 6 of 8 lifetime. Both of his losses were not bad, and they both came at the same track, Churchill Downs. This time he tries Keeneland. Son of Constitution has been a consistently excellent horse. Another horse you'd have to give a big shot in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
That's for sure. You said hasn't done much wrong in his career. And according to trainer Barclay Tagg, the only thing that he's done wrong in his career is run at Churchill Downs twice, because Tagg insists that both times that, and Manny Franco has said the same thing when he's gotten off the horse after those losses at Churchill, is that he just doesn't like that racing surface. And that's not something that is unique to Tiz the Law. Other horses have had that reaction about the racing surface at the Louisville track. So if in fact that's the case, with a little bit extra time off for Tiz the Law after the Kentucky Derby, he's one of the 3-year-olds. He's got to be a major contender in this classic. But again, like we've said, he's never faced a field like this.
Right. And the 3-year-olds, it's really hard to judge. We're looking at Tiz the Law, Authentic, and Swiss Skydiver here. None of them have raced against older horses. But on the other hand, in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, it was Tacitus. It wasn't Improbable. It wasn't Maximum Security. It was Tacitus. But on the other hand, in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, the 3-year-olds, less heralded 3-year-olds, Happy Saver and Mystic Guide, were able to run 1-2. So maybe that says a little bit about this 3-year-old crop as we look to handicap these 3-year-olds, these really good 3-year-olds, against these really good older horses. Tiz the Law, yeah, I said it about Global Campaign. He came to Kentucky once and he didn't get it done. Tiz the Law has come to Kentucky twice and hasn't gotten it done, at least to his very high standards. But on the other hand, Keeneland is a very different track, and both Global Campaign and Tiz the Law didn't get it done at Churchill Downs. So Keeneland could be a totally different ball game, as you alluded to here for Tiz the Law. One race at 10 furlongs was the Travers, and I would argue that that was the best race he's run in his life before the Kentucky Derby. And then in the Kentucky Derby, if he didn't like the track, he still ran a very good second in that Kentucky Derby. So I don't really think 10 furlongs is a problem for a developing, maturing 3-year-old. Another horse, big shot in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Folks, you get the idea that this is a pretty wide open race. I haven't even finalized who my top pick is. It could be any one of these last 4 horses we're mentioning, but Tiz the Law is a 3-year-old to like a whole lot. The favorite for the Breeders' Cup Classic, Matt, is Improbable. I'm at 3-1. I don't think he'll be lower than 3-1 in this field, but 3 straight Grade 1 wins, and he's done it impressively.
Yeah, and that, in talking about the odds, Brian, that is an indication of the quality of this field, that the favorite is likely to be like 3-1, and with a resume as strong as Improbable has. And then we've got 5-6 horses packed in between 3-1 and maybe 6-1, 7-1. That right there tells you the quality of this field. But hey, Improbable, in my eyes, deserves to be the favorite in this race. These last 3 races, these last 3 Grade 1 wins have been flat out impressive. And the list of horses that he has defeated in those races is most of the other horses that we've been talking about in the field. Maximum Security, By My Standards, Tom's Détat, Higher Power. He's beat them, and he's the only one in this field that can say that about having defeated so many of the likely opponents in this race. I don't know. It's hard to say anything negative about this new and improved Improbable, who has become a versatile runner, being able to rate off the early pace, seems to have gotten over his starting gate problems.
Yeah, well, he was a little fractious every time in the starting gate. I think that's just how he's going to be. It hasn't really bothered him in his races this year, that's for sure. Last year, remember, he was the favorite in the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, and he wasn't all that close to winning. In the back of my mind, I still wonder if he's better at a mile to 9 furlongs than he is at 10. Maybe it doesn't matter. Like I said with another horse earlier, he's a mature, older horse now, and maybe he can do everything that he can do at 9 furlongs at 10 furlongs. But I still have a little bit doubt that maybe he's a little better shorter. And that could be the deciding factor in here when you got so many good horses. A horse who just wants 10 furlongs a little bit more than a horse who would rather be running at 9 furlongs. Who would have thought the Oakland Mile might be the key race of the year? But I certainly could see the two horses in the Oakland Mile coming down in the last 100 yards of this Breeders' Cup Classic in Tom's Daytona Improbable. Yeah, Improbable's been that good this year. His one win at a mile and a quarter this year was against light competition. This is totally different, a mile and a quarter competition for him. But you got to like the way he's been able to make that move, whether he's close to the pace or whether he's a little farther off the pace like last time. He has a burst of speed that is ending races, and he might be able to do it again. He might have become the best dirt horse in the world. His last 3 races kind of give promise to that. But as the favorite, I'm probably not going to make him my top pick, but another horse with a big shot in the Breeders' Cup Classic. You get the idea, folks. Whether this is a 10-horse field or an 11-horse field as we have Swiss Skydiver, it's going to be a really good Breeders' Cup Classic. Maybe we'll get a horse or two, a long shot drawn in that we're not even talking about yet. But all the big names are here, especially if Swiss Skydiver runs. It's a great Breeders' Cup Classic, one that Matt and I are very excited about. A little over a week at Keeneland. Matt, this was our Breeders' Cup Classic preview, and it was fun to do. I enjoyed talking about these excellent horses and a deep, strong Breeders' Cup Classic this year. Can I get a parting shot from you, my friend?
Hey, Brian, wow. This is what the 2 days of the Breeders' Cup is going to, the way it's going to climax. And hey, whatever happens in all those other races, we got a ding-dong in the Classic, and I'm really looking forward to it. Brian, we got 2 shows coming up next week?
2 shows coming up next week, Matt. We're gonna certainly talk about suggested wagers. We're gonna talk about a lot of these races on both Friday and Saturday. We're gonna come with our top picks, suggested waivers for both, and I'm certainly happy to hear that you are going to climax at the Breeders' Cup Classic this year. That's always good to know. I'd like to thank our producer, Brett Workman, getting healthy. That's the most important thing, Brett. We're glad you're getting better. I want to thank all you viewers out there for watching this show that we enjoy so much to put on for you every week. So thank you for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel here on Horse Racing Nation, you can do that now, please. And thanks to our sponsor, Matt, Derby Wars. They're the best contest site out there. So always good to have them on our side. Folks, we'll be back with another big edition of HorseCenter. And as Matt said, 2 big editions of HorseCenter next week. We'll see you then.